Okay, so yeah, good evening. So today basically we're actually going to be looking at shared view model. Okay, we looked at view model in the last class. Okay, so we're going to be looking at shared view model, and the concept of a shared view model is just basically, two fragments or two or more fragments actually having to make use of one view model class. Okay, so that's just the concept. It's not easy to know much definition and whatever. Okay, so I've actually just put up something on my repo that we're going to make use of it to. I remember we talked about, I told you we're going to be looking at navigation and the backstack. So we're going to use this particular application to walk through both of them. I hope we can actually finish up shared view model. I wanted it to be pretty short, but I decided to let's extend it a bit. So the app, I've just done just a little work. So we'll get to implement some stuff we've actually implemented already, like navigation and the rest, just to refresh our memory. And then you get to see the concept of data binding. Okay, well, I've actually looked at view binding before. So data binding is just like the word states, data binding. You're binding the data, okay, the view. So we're going to actually see how that works also. So trying to put up a lot together in the short time that we have. So let's just go. So basically, let's see what we have here. Let's just do a tour. So I have the main activity. I have a flavor fragment, pickup fragment, start fragment, summary fragment. Okay, so let's see my main activity. This is what I have. And some of you were like, what's this? There's no on create, no set content view. Yes, so there's no need of overriding our create function if the only thing we're going to call is the set content view method, just by passing your layout, as a parameter here, actually sets the content. Okay, you can also implement this whole format in your fragments. You can also do that also. So that's that. And then, so in our layout resource file, well, this is our activity main. We already have a fragment container. We have the flavor fragment. Okay, we have a flavor fragment. We have the pickup fragment. We have the start fragment. And then we have the summary fragment. Okay, so that's just that. Okay, so excuse me. So the start fragment is actually going to be the first screen that was shown on the application. Okay, so let me just show you guys. I hope this stays. Okay, it doesn't stay, so I just have to close it and run it again. So, okay, so yeah, the start fragment is the first screen, okay? And then we have the flavor, the pickup, the summary. So it's basically kind of an ordering application. That's basically what it is. It's basically an ordering application. Okay, so this is the start fragment, okay? Well, for now, the only thing we have here is just, so we can actually go to the various fragments, okay? Just, we only have nothing. Can't go to the fragments yet. So we're going to implement that actually. We'll just use that to remind ourselves about, navigation and the whole likes, okay? So let's just move forward. So let's complete the navigation graph. I've actually just created a nav graph, but I haven't actually linked it. Okay, I haven't linked it. Okay, so we'll start by completing that. Okay, but before I do that, let me just check out a new branch for this. So you can actually just get the default, like this is like the start. So let me just, so what do I name it? What do I name it? What do I name it? Okay, let me just, can I actually just say first task? Let me just call it that. Okay, so let's work on a new branch. That's fine. Okay, so first things first, we need to complete our navigation graph. Okay, so we need to connect the screens basically of this our share view model demo application. We need to connect the screens, and of course, we know that we need to actually have our nav host. We need to add a nav host to the activity Okay, like the whole process, adding nav holes, creating nav graph, and then add fragment destinations. So we have actually done that, but now we need to connect the destinations. That's basically what we need to do. So so like I said, the start fragment is going to be the first screen. So from the start, I would want to go to, from the start, I want to go to the flavor. Okay, so it's just by dragging, of which you already know that. So I'll do that for the rest. I think I need to have, hold on. Yeah, so pickup. Let's just put it this way. So from flavor, let's go to pickup. From pickup, we now go to what? Summary. Okay, so that's that, just to connect the screen. So you can actually have, so each of them actually have a corresponding action, okay, except the summary fragment. Summary fragment doesn't go anywhere yet. Okay, so that's actually that. So let's see. Okay, so already have this home icon here that shows the start. So let's now actually add a code to move, do the whole moving and everything from the first to the second fragment. Okay, so I'm going to go to my start fragment. So I think I can just close all this. Okay, so let's go to the start fragment. Okay, I have some stuff already I actually just worked on because of the time, actually, since we just want to concentrate on shared view model. But basically, what you're basically looking at here is what called, one thing I've implemented here is what data binding. This is not view binding. This is data binding. So actually make use of data binding, you need to actually add the necessary different stuff. So you need this plugin, which is this Kotlin Property, and then you need your build features. You need to have data binding enabled to true and not view binding. So this is just binding the data directly to the layout. We get to actually see what that is. So how you just do it is, of course, once you enable data binding, you're able to get these generated classes. So you just do your private var is the variable of type this, we set it to null, and then you do your fragment binding as a fragment start binding dot inflate. These are generated classes. Okay, and then you set your binding to this, your instance here. Okay, and then you return binding dot root. Okay, your instance, which is your object, do that dot root. So that's actually how you actually set the component. So on view created, okay, so we just say binding dot apply. So instead of actually having to say binding dot order one dot set or click listener, binding dot order two dot set or click listener, binding dot order three, no, you just use binding dot apply, and then you can have access to every ID that you need. So that's basically, this is more, this is actually just better. Okay, so we already have this other one, cupcake. So this is actually from this button. Okay, this is this one, and then two, and then three. Okay, so what do we want? Set or click listener. So what we have here is to order a cupcake. Now in this function called order cupcake, what do we have? We just have a toast here. We basically just have a toast. So when we click on it, we're just displaying a toast. That's basically what we're doing. But by default, we are saying that the first order cupcake should have a quantity of 1, the second one should have a quantity of 6, and the likes. Okay, so that's actually that. I think this was able to move now, right here. So, okay, yeah, we have our toasts, 6 cupcakes, 12 cupcakes. Yeah, we have our toasts. We need to reduce this young man. Okay, so let's see. Should be able to. Okay, that's gonna just delay me. Okay, so that's that, and then we called the override. We overrode the destroy view. So this is actually going to what we're setting the binding to what null. Remember, the binding is going to just house all references. Okay, once you instantiate it, but now we want to destroy it. We want to release those resources. That's basically what we're doing here. Okay, this is just a string template. Some of you just know that already. Okay, so what we want to just do now is to let's actually now what do I call it? So we want to navigate. Okay, we want to navigate. So here I want to, when I click on, one cupcake, okay, I want to go to the flavor fragment. Okay, so I'll take out, since this is the function that actually does that, because we're calling this function here on those buttons. So I'm going to take out this toast, okay, and then I'm going to let's see. So I'm just going to call my find nav controller. Okay, I'm going to say dot navigate. And then what are we navigating to? Well, r.id. I think we have, so we're going to say start to flavor. So let me see. Yes, start fragment to flavor fragment. Okay, so that's basically that's actually that. So what else? What else? So let's see. So we can test that out, or should we? Okay, before we even do that, let's just do it for every other screen. I think so. Let's just do it for every other screen. So in the flavor fragment, okay. So what we have here, okay, we still have our binding, and then we can see in our view created. So where the view has been created, okay, we say dot apply, and then this next button. So what's this next button? So that is after you have chosen what you want to go next. You want to click on the next button. So we want the next button to go to the next screen, and the next screen is just a toast. So we'll take out this. So our next screen, okay, our next screen method now will that's where we'll now run our navigation. So just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to say find nav controller, okay, dot navigate, and then I'm going to say r.id I think flavor to pickup. Okay, so that actually works. Okay, so let's see. So let's see, in the pickup fragment also, we also need to do that. Yes, we also need to do that. So find nav controller dot navigate, and then I'm going to say r.id this is pickup. So pickup to summary. Okay, good. So let's test that out. And let's make sure that the buttons, when we actually click on them, they go where we want them to go. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so for that to apply the changes. So we have to reinstall and restart. So okay, so I think this is it. So let's try and bring this over here. So okay, so let's see. We'll click on one cupcake here. It takes us here, and then of course, maybe we'll just choose whatever we want. Okay, and then we can go to the next screen. Okay, this is not displaying anything. Okay, we'll work on that. And then what's up here? Okay, we can now go to the summary. So we'll talk about how we'll pass the data later, but this is just a toast message. So that works. So we've been able to implement that. We've been able to implement that. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. So one more thing that we would want to do, just a quick one. Sorry. Okay. I need to. Sorry, give me a minute, please. I need to pick up something. Okay. Okay. So okay, I think that's fine. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so let's actually just move on. So one thing I would want to do, let me show you, is to okay, right now, can I go back? Okay, so one thing I want to do is to update the title bar. Okay, one thing I would want to do is to update the title bar. Okay, so how, and also we actually need our back button. Since I'm using a fragment, we actually need our back button. So let's see how we can actually implement that. Let's see how we can do that. So let's see. So let me go to our main activity. Let's go to our main activity. And then in our onCreate method, okay, I'm going to override the onCreate. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to set up the navigation controller. Okay, so that means I need to get an instance of our nav controller from our nav host fragments. We already, okay, so we have our nav host fragments. So let's see. This is basically, so what I'll just do is I'll make a call to what we'll call the setup action bar with nav controller. Okay, but that's after I get the instance. So I'm going to say val nav host. First, need to first of all get the what instance. Okay. So let's see. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Nav host. Okay. So I'm going to say support fragment manager. I'm going to use that. Okay. Dot find fragment by its ID. And what fragment do I want to find? I want to find my nav host fragment. Okay. And then I want to pass it as a nav host. Okay. So that's basically what I want to do. Then I'll get my nav controller. That's okay. Nav controller. Okay, and want to say my nav host dot nav controller. Okay, and once I have that, I can now call my setup action bar with nav controller, and then I'll pass in my nav controller that I created. Okay, so that's just it. So basically, what did we just do? We just needed to set up the navigation controller. And to do that, we need to get an instance of nav controller, but we need to get it from our nav host fragment. Okay, so that's basically what we just did right now. Okay, so let's move on. So what we'll just do now is to set the app bar titles for each fragment. Okay, we'll set the app bar title for each fragment. So I'll just go to my navigation graph. Okay, let me get to code. So here that I have the label, let's just say app name. Let me use app name. Okay, so the first one first fragment should take the app name. The second one, I want the second one to take the name of that distance. So I think I have a string already called choose flavor. For that of summary, I have other summary. I have a string already for that. And then for the pickup, I have something for you. Pickup the choose pickup date. Yes. Okay, so that's just so basically we just updated the title bar. Okay, so let's see what we've done. Let's see what we've done. Okay. Okay, so we need to reinstall and restart. Okay, so okay, so it hasn't reflected yet. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So okay, so sorry, let me fix that. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, hope you can see my screen. Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so let's apply that again. Excuse me. So let's see. Hope we don't missing anything. Okay, so okay, it's still building, applying changes. Okay, so still not giving us what we need. That's interesting. So let's see what's label for the start. Okay. Okay, so now main activity, what do we have? Let's see, Navels, Fragment. Okay. Okay, so I see the mistake. We're using the wrong, okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this is what this is the onCreate function I should use. Sorry, I didn't even notice. So let me take this out. Okay, so I think that is set up action bar with Nav Controller, and then we'll pass in a Nav Controller support fragment by ID and that, then this. Okay. Okay, let me confirm from. Okay, don't need this. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's try that again. So we quickly move to the shared view model. Okay. Still building, so let's wait for that. Let's wait. So okay, reinstall and restart. Okay, let's hope this works. Okay, fine, it works. Okay, so we have choose flavor, choose pickup date, and then other summary. Well, the back button doesn't work for now. We'll actually fix that up much later. Okay, so let's now go into the shared view model. Okay, so basically we want to populate the correct data in each of the fragments. Correct data in each of the fragments. Sorry, I need to check something. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, let's populate the data. So we're going to be using a shared view model to save the app's data in a single view model. Okay, so multiple fragments in application will now access this shared view model using their activity scope. You know, they belong to one activity. So using their activity scope, they're going to access the shared model. Okay, so this is a very common thing actually, okay, to share data between fragments. Okay, it's actually a very common thing. Like, well, let's just see. So let's just actually move on. Let me not spill the beans before we get to there. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to create a view model now. Okay, so I'm going to create a view model. So new Kotlin file, and be a class. So I'm going to call this so let's call it other view model. Okay, good. So let's call it other view model. Okay, so our other view model. So we're basically going to create this view model for the application. Okay, based on ordering. Okay, but we'll need to also add data like app data as properties inside the view model. We'll add some app data as properties inside the view model, and also methods that will update and modify the data. Okay, that's why. So it's basically the logic and everything that's going to need. And 4 things we're going to add is the order quantity, the click flavor, the pick up date, and then the price. Those are the 4 things we're going to add. Okay, so there are best practices when it comes to view model. Okay, now it is actually recommended to not expose view model data as public variables. Okay, in a view model, it's best practice not to expose the view model data as public variables. Okay, otherwise the app data can be modified in ways by external classes actually, and this may actually cause your app to actually behave in a way that's not expected to. So instead, what we do is that we make the properties mutable. Make these mutable properties private. Okay, we make mutable properties what private. Then we implement what we call a backing property. Okay, we implement a backing property and then expose a public immutable version of that property if it is actually needed, if that property is needed. Okay, so let's just all this stuff that I've actually said, let's just go straight into it. Okay, but before that, we always talk about having to order your work very well. So let's create a package called model. Okay, let's take the other view model into it. Okay, good, that's fine. So we have that. Okay, so yeah, let's move. Okay, so our view model now is going to extend the view model class like we know. It's going to extend the view model class. Okay, that's fine. So now let's now move. So inside our class, we're going to now add the properties that I just talked about. Okay, so remember that we need to, it's not, like I said, it's not best practice. Don't expose your view model data as public variables. Okay, instead, you make mutable properties private, implement a backing property, and then expose a public immutable version of each of them if it's needed. Now, this is what we basically mean. This is basically what we mean. What we basically mean. Okay, so I'm going to just do this. So one of the properties we need is the quantity, right? So I'm going to say private val. Now, when implementing the mutable private variables, okay, it's best to use underscore to start the naming. So quantity, and this is going to be, of course, we're still on the whole mutable live data stuff. So mutable live data, okay, and then it's going to be of type int. Now I'm going to give it a default value of 0. Okay, we'll give it a default value. So this is the mutable private property. So then we'll now using the backend property, we'll now expose what a public immutable property that is of that. So this is the public immutable. So I'll just come here, say val and then quantity without an underscore. Okay, and then this is going to be of live data type. Okay, of course we know what the whole live data is all about. Okay, and then I'm now going to set it to our mutable live data of quantity. We talked about this in the last class rather. So that's why I said I wanted us to just run through certain things again to brush our memory up. So I'm going to do this for the 4 quantities we have. So permit me to okay, sorry about that. Okay, so Control V, please. Okay, so okay, so for this one, I'm going to say, so what we need here is flavor. Okay, so this will be flavor, and then this will be underscore flavor. The next thing we need is the dates. These are the data we need. So okay, so for the flavor, we need a string. The flavor is a string, so I want to give it a default value, okay, of nothing. Okay, just an empty string. Okay, so I have to change this also to string. Okay, and then the date, of course, the date is going to be of type string. So let's give it an empty string as a default. And then this should be date. And then the data type should be string. And then this should be date. Okay, so the last one is going to be the price. So underscore price. Sorry about that. P. Somebody is actually playing with Zoom. Okay, so please don't run your mouse on that. Let me clear. I have to clear that now. Okay, so please Judah, you're the one. Can you please? Okay, so let's move on.
Very sorry, please. I dropped my phone upside down and it controlled itself.
Yeah, that can happen. Okay, so let's move on. And then for this one, it's going to be price. Sorry, underscore price. Okay, so for this, the price is going to be a double. It's not going to be an int. It's going to be a double. Okay, it's going to be a double also. Okay, yeah, so that's that. So we basically just created our properties, okay, the mutable private properties, okay, and then we change the property type to what live data and add the backend field to the property. So basically, so that we are basically doing this so that the properties can be observable. That's why we're using the live data. So it can be what's observable, and the UI can be updated when the data, the source data actually in the view model actually changes. Okay, so that's basically that. So another thing we need to do in our view model, we need to add methods. Okay, we need to add certain methods that will do certain things. Okay, so let's add some methods. Okay, so let's make this a 0.0 default. Okay, yeah. So we're going to add some methods. So one method I'm going to add is to set the quantity, a function that will set the quantity, and it's going to take the number of cakes. Let's just call that, and it's going to take out of type integer. Okay, so that's the function. So what would the function be? I want to set the quantity. Okay, so we're going to set the quantity, the mutable live data dot value. Of course, we can actually access it because we're in this class, even if it's private. So the value of it is going to be whatever is going to be passed in this function. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing for all of them. The set function to set the flavor, and the flavor is going to take up, let's just say flavor of type string, and then we're going to update say flavor.value. That the value of that is going to be whatever is passed in as the flavor. And then we're going to also have our set date, a function to set the date. And that will just, let's just say pick up. We can just say pick up date, and let that be of type string also. And then I'll say my date right here. So dot value, okay, is going to be equal to the pickup date. I was going to actually store the pickup date. So now let's see. So 1, 2 dates. Yeah, so we didn't actually do anything for price, but let's just calm down with that now. So let's find out if we have any errors. Let's run this and see if we are fine. We'll actually add more. So, but for now, let's just see. I think since it's built, okay, no, okay, so we don't have any errors. Of course, there's not going to be any change to the UI. We just added logic to the view model. So let's now use this view model to update the UI. Okay, let's use this shared view model to update our UI. Okay, so this is basically how we are going to do it. Okay, to use, of course, we're going to update, it's the start fragment we're going to use, because from the start fragment, that's where we have to work out a lot. So to use the shared view model in this fragment, okay, we'll initialize our order view model, using what we'll call, using the method activity view models. Okay, instead of view models that we were using, instead of view models delegate class, we're going to be using activity view models. Now, the reason is this: the view models class method rather gives you, or delegate class rather, it gives you the view model instance that is scoped to the current fragment. But this will be different for different fragments because, of course, the fragments are actually different. But the activity view models delegate class, it gives you the view model instance that is scoped to the current activity. So this means that the instance will remain the same across multiple fragments. It will remain the same. But if we use just the normal view models that we have been using, .view model, it will not work. So another thing I want to introduce the Kotlin property delegate. Okay, so now in Kotlin, each mutable var property has a default getter and setter functions automatically generated. Okay, Java, you have to do the getter function, you have to do the setter function, you have to create it yourself, or maybe to just, but you have to actually do that. But Kotlin actually just generates this by default. Okay, each mutable variable property, var property, okay, has that getter and setter functions default. So the setter and the getter functions, they are called when you assign a value or read the value of that property. So for a read-only property like your val, okay, it is only the getter function that is generated. But the getter function is called when you read the value of a read-only property. But if the property is var, that means you can set, means you can, of course, because you can update it, that means you can actually now set something. But once you declare a read-only, you can only get the value, you can't set it. Okay, so this property delegation in Kotlin actually helps you to hand off the whole getter setter responsibility to a different class. Okay, so and this class is actually called delegate class, and it provides the getter and setter functions of the property. So this is it. A delegate, this is how you actually, let me just show you. This is how you actually define a delegate property. Okay, you say var, and then you just give the property name, okay. After you give the property name, you actually specify the property type, okay, and then you use the keyword by. A delegate property is defined by using this keyword, this by clause, and then the delegate instance, the class instance. So by, now say you call the delegate class. And of course you do this. So this is actually how you define, this is the syntax for property delegation. And I say property delegation in Kotlin helps you to actually just hand off the getter setter responsibility to a different class. Like a different class should just handle that, okay? And then this delegate class now, okay, it provides you that whole getter and setter functions of the property, and it will be the one to handle the changes. So why do we need it, and how do we actually implement it? So this is it. So in our this our start fragment class, we're going to get a reference to the shared view model, okay, as a class variable. We'll get the reference to the shared view model class as a class variable, and then we'll now use the by activity view models. Okay, so this is basically what I'm saying. So just above this, I'm going to say private, I'm going to say private val. Okay, now remember the way. So the property name, we're going to say shared view model. That'll be the name, and the property type is of our other view model. Okay, and then we're going to use the keyword by, and then calling the activity view models. Okay. Okay. Yeah. The activity view models. Remember what we said about the activity view models, right? It gives you the view model instance of the current activity. And this instance is going to remain the same across multiple fragments in that activity. So we have 4 fragments in this activity. So this instance will be the same. But if we use just the normal one with these view models, if we use this one, okay, if we use these view models, well, I don't want to actually import it. If we use this, we're basically, it's going to be scoped to just this start fragment. And then if I now create an instance in the flavor fragment, it's going to be a different instance altogether. Okay, so let's switch back to what we have. Okay, that's actually fine. So I'm going to do the same thing for every other fragment. Okay, I'll do the same thing for every other fragment. So let's pick this up. So we have the flavor fragment. Let's just okay, and then we have the pickup fragment, and then which one? Let's say summary fragment. Okay, that's fine. That's good. Okay, so back to our start fragment. Okay, so now we can actually now use this view model. Okay, so so just at the beginning of this, before having to navigate, okay, before having to actually navigate, we're going to call the set quantity method. Okay, so that it will update the quantity before navigating to the flavor fragment. Okay, that's basically what we're going to do. So I'm just going to use my instance, which is the shared view model dot set quantity. Okay, and then what will I pass in? I'll pass in the word quantity, which is this young man. Okay, and then of course you can actually see that the quantity here is going to be 1. If I click on the one order 1, I'm passing in 1. If I click on order 6, I'm passing 6. If I click on order 12, I'm passing in 12. Okay, so that actually is that. Now in our view model class, I'm going to where's that young man? Good. So we're going to add we need to check if the flavor for that order has been set or not. Okay, so basically this is what I'm saying. We're going to create a function called has no flavor set. Okay, has no flavor set, and this is going to be a Boolean. It's going to return a Boolean, going to return true or false, and then we're going to say, so we want it to just return. Now, we want it to return this flavor. Of course, we are using this. We can actually make use of this. Okay, this is the variable for this particular class, the mutable private variable. This is what we'll update. But the one that we're going to expose to every other class is the one with the live data. So I'm going to update this to say dot value. Okay, then I'm going to say is null or empty. Okay, so we're going to return if the whatever is going to give you if that is actually what's empty. So back to the start fragment. Okay, we need to check if it is empty. Okay, we need to actually check if it's empty, because what if the person doesn't click on anything and he just clicks where is that young man? Let's go back. Okay, sorry, so let's use this. So what if okay, so what if maybe you don't select any flavor here? Okay, what if you don't select anything? Okay, what happens? So let's just do that quickly. So so yeah, we have actually called this. Then I'm now going to say if let's say shared view model, we want to get the if has no flavor set. So that's if this is true, what should happen? Okay, I'm now going to let's say I'll now call my set flavor. Okay, so if so I'll call the set flavor, and I'm going to I have a string here already. Arrow.string dot okay, have some stuff here. So basically, what are we saying here? If this is true, that it has no flavor. If this returns true, I want you to set the flavor to be vanilla. So that means I'm basically just giving you a default. That's just basically what it kind of means. Okay, so that's actually that. So let's see. Let's run this and let's see what we have been able to achieve. Let's see what we've been able to achieve. Of course, if you have a question, please do well to ask. Do well to ask. Okay, so of course, yeah, we know we have to reinstall and restart. Okay, so let's see. Well, at least we don't have any errors. So we don't have any error yet. We don't have any error. That's what I wanted to be sure. Why is this pickup date not showing anything? That's interesting. Okay, well, we'll get to look into that. Okay, so yeah, so now let's now use view model with data binding. View model with data binding. Okay, so data binding is basically just to bind, we just want to bind our view model data to the UI without having to, come down here and say binding.this.set text. We can actually just do that in the XML there. Okay, in the XML. Okay, so data binding binds the UI components in your layout to data sources in your app using what we call a declarative format. Okay, so in fact, in simpler terms, this is just data binding is binding data from code to views. Okay, so but we use view binding. View binding binds views to code, but data binding binds the data from code to views. Okay, so well, I've actually set up stuff. Stuff. Okay, now when you want to, like, let's go to like this flavor stuff now. Save design. Let's just do the code. Okay, so you see, I'm actually using a layout here. Now, I could remove the tag, and this is what you have by default. Okay, it's just that it needs to be arranged in a way where you have the namespace and everything. The first root tag should have the first tag where I should have your namespace and the likes. Okay, but this whole stuff should be inside the scroll view, of course, your normal, but you can actually just do okay, let me just show you something. Assuming I had this here. Okay, good. So assuming I have this out of here. So to actually enable data binding, okay, of course, this is basically what you just do. As far as you've enabled data binding there, you can actually just convert to data binding layout. As easy as that. And it does that for you. Okay, and then you have this parts where you can pass in data. We'll look at that also. So this is what we're going to do. So in this data, we're going to now create what we call a variable that we're going to use to get access to what we need. So I'm just going to add a variable here, a variable tag. Okay, I'm going to say variable, click on that. So for name, I can just say view model. You can name it anything you want. And then for the type, okay, the type is going to be my view model. So I'm just going to get it from my view model. It's going to be a type of view model. So, but you need to get it. So home.example.shared view model. Dot model. And then dot other view model. Okay, yeah. So that's actually the type of this variable. Okay, so let's do the same thing. I'm going to just do the same thing for every other fragment. So for every other of the layout, so fragment pickup, I'm going to do the same thing, just going to add this for the start. Let's also just do it for the start. Do we use it? Okay, no, I'm going to really use it for the start. Summary, let's use it for the summary. Because I don't think there's anything we need to bind there. Okay, so that's actually just that. So now, so let's see. So let's go to our flavor fragment now and make use of this young man. Okay, so in our flavor fragment, this is how I'm actually going to use it. So in my binding.apply, okay, I need to bind the view model instance with the shared view model instance layout. Okay, so all I'm just going to do here, before this whole on click stuff, I'm going to say view model Okay. From if you can see the view model there is from what comes from this get view model. Okay, so I'm going to say view model dot view model rather equals shared view model. So what am I doing? I'm basically binding the view model instance with the shared view model instance in the layout. Okay, so if I just do, this is basically what I just did. Where did I? Okay, flavor. Just press your control button and then click on this view model. You see it takes you to our fragment flavor and takes you to this variable. So I'm binding this instance, the view model instance, to this shared one. That's basically what I'm doing. Okay, so now let me just talk a bit. The apply scope function, I think I've talked about it, but let me just, so this apply function in Kotlin, okay, it's a scope function. Okay, so it executes a block of code within the context of an object. So it basically just forms like a temporary scope. And then in that scope, you can access the object without its name. That's why I said, instead of saying binding.this, binding.next button, binding.this, binding, no, you can just access what you need without actually calling the name, using the whole binding stuff. Okay, so let's see. So the common use of it is actually to configure an object. Okay, so it's basically apply. For example, like you can actually read this by saying apply the following assignments to the object. That's just how you can actually read it. Okay, now imagine having to say let's say I create an object, Emmanuel.apply, and I'll now say first name, Emmanuel, last name, Ikechukwu, age, 95. So I'm applying this to that, okay? Emmanuel is not 95 though. That was just on a lighter note. But Emmanuel, I would love to see how you look at 95 though. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing for every other. Okay, do it for the pickup. So just taking this one step at a time, do it for the summary. Okay, so our start fragment doesn't need it because we are not actually going to use a shared view model for it. Okay, so now how do we now make use of data binding? How do we bind these views? How do we bind the data and the views and everything? So this is where it's actually interesting. So in this fragment flavor XML, so we're going to use this new variable, okay, to set the checked attribute of the radio button based on the flavor value that's in the view model. So basically what we're saying, in our view model, okay, based on the flavor value that is going to come in here, we're going to set it using this variable. Okay, so if the flavor represented by a radio button is the same as the flavor that is saved in the view model, then the display radio button that was as selected, that is the one that is checked, to be checked to what's true. So this is how we actually just do it, and it's a very interesting stuff. So in my radio button, this is the radio group. So in the radio button, I'm going to add this property. So let's start. So for the vanilla, I'm going to call the checked. So yeah, 100 checked. So this is how we use data binding. I'm going to say at, and then I'm going to put out, open and close the scope. And then I'm going to say view model dot flavor. Okay, remember this flavor. So this property you're seeing is the public property that is accessible. The live data, the one that is accessible. So I'm going to say dot flavor dot equals. So yeah, equals. So we want to check if it equals what? What does it equal? At the vanilla, so I'm going to say a string. I have a string stuff called vanilla. Sometimes this code, you actually write it yourself. Every time that you see auto copy suggestion. So I'm checking if Android checked if so this is going to check if the flavor that is chosen is actually what? Vanilla. So I'm going to do this because looking at this, the first one is vanilla. So we need to check. So we need to know, okay, fine. What did you check? Is it vanilla? Let's get, and then we're getting the word string. So whatever, I want to check if this first one you clicked is actually what? Vanilla. So I'm just going to, have I copied that already? So I'll just copy that and I will just do it for every other radio button. So, but this one is for chocolate. This one is for red velvet. And then this one is for the salted, sorry. I'm just going to copy this and then, and then we have this one, sorry, let's copy this. And then this is for coffee. Okay, so that's actually that. Okay, so another thing we'll look at, so this is actually data binding. So you didn't have to, on your code, you don't have to go and do remember the whole process. If you want to check if something is written, you don't do your when statement and all those stuff like that. This is just data binding. So this will bind the data to the what? UI. So the next thing we're going to look at is what we call listener bindings. Now, listener bindings are basically Lambda expressions, okay, that run when an event happens, such as an on-click event. Listener bindings are Lambda expressions that run when an event happens. So they are similar to your set on click listener, and then maybe passing a click listener when you're doing your adapter and stuff. But the other thing is that listener bindings, they just let you run like arbitrary data binding expression. So this is what I mean. Now, in my radio button, let's start with the first, with this one. I want to activate the on-click function. So that means on clicking this guy, I want to do something. So this is our listener binding. I'm going to open my scope and close my scope. So then I'll open a parenthesis, and then I'm going to do this. This is the Lambda expression. So what do I want to do? Viewmodel.setFlavor. And then I want to now get this guy, set this flavor. So when you click it, if it's checked, okay, then it's clicked also, you check if it's this vanilla and then set the flavor. That's actually what listener binding. So I'm going to do that for all of them. I'm going to do that for all of them. Let me just paste this first. Okay, so this one is coffee. Yeah, so this is salted caramel. Paste that. This is red velvet. Okay, chocolate. Okay, so yeah, that's it. So let's see. Let's now see what happens here. Let's now see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So let's see. Do we have to restore and restart? Yes, we have to. Okay, so let's say one cupcake. So notice how this is actually checked by default. Notice how this is what's checked by default, and it is vanilla. Okay, so great. Let's now move on. So assuming I click next. So the next thing we need to do is what? For the pickup. So let's go to the pickup. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Okay, so I'm using tools.text. Okay, I forgot. Using tools.text. That's why you're not seeing anything. If I use Android.text, you see it, but I don't want to hard code this Thursday or the days. Let it actually. So let's update our pickup and summary from fragments to use this same view model. Okay, that's the shared view model now. So they'll use the same. So because if you notice that in the pickup fragments, there was nothing there. It was blank. There's no date. Okay, there's no date there. So we'll have to calculate 4 pickup dates available and display them in the pickup fragment. So there are different ways to display formatted dates. Okay, we'll actually, there's a simple date format. That's a date formatter. That's one of the classes the Android framework actually provides. Simple date class. The class for formatting and passing dates in a local sensitive manner. Okay, so basically how you do it is to create an instance of the simple date format by passing the pattern you want. So we'll actually we'll use that. Okay, so let's now go to our view model class. Where is, okay, this is it. So in our view model class now, okay, let's add a function that will get the pickup options. So fun get pickup. So let's do that. And what we want this function to return is a list of dates. Okay, it's going to return a list of dates. So so that means a string, because dates. So this is it. So I'm going to create some options variable, and it's going to be a mutable list of string. Yeah, because so this is basically what I'm going to. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So okay, list. So what does it feel like I'm doing wrong here? Okay, so let's make this private. Okay, so a return expression. Okay, yeah. So we'll return actually, but let it wait first. Okay, I was just thinking. Okay, so now let's create a formatter string, okay, using the simple date format that I talked about. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to create a formatter. Let's just call it a formatter. Formatter. Okay, sorry. Formatter, okay. And then, so I'm going to now use one of the classes Android provide, the Android framework, simple date format, okay. And this takes in a pattern, okay, and then a locale. Now, the locale object, it represents a specific geographical or political or cultural region. It also represents a language, represents a country, variant combination, but they actually used to alter the presentation of information, such as numbers or dates, to suit conventions in the region. So note, because you need to know that date and time are local sensitive, because the date and time here in Nigeria is different from the date and time in another country. So so we're going to use, so first of all, we're going to provide the pattern. So the pattern we're going to be using, say, I'll just do E, M, 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 and then a D. So that's enough. And then for the local, I'm going to use the default. So I'm just going to say local dot get default. So let's just get the default for me. So this one I'll just get whatever, the default this thing. I don't really want to there. So the E here stands for the day name in the week. Okay, the E stands for the day name in the week. So this, and this will now pass it to probably, let's say, today is what? So Thursday October, what's today's date? Thursday, October 28th. That's how this will actually pass it to that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to get a calendar instance. Okay, now well, we actually need the calendar. So let's do this. So I'm going to say calendar. So I'm going to now say calendar dot get instance. Okay, and then after doing that, I now have to build up a list of dates, starting with the current date. Okay, I need to build up a list of dates, starting with the current date and the following 3 dates. Okay, because we actually need 4 date options. Okay, and then so since we want to do a list, so I have to do that 4 times. So I'm just going to use I'm going to say repeat 4 times. Okay, and what do I want to repeat? I'm going to now say options, which is my list, dot add. And what do I want to add? I want to add my format. I'll call my formatter that just to format it. And I'll say dot format. And what do I want to format? I want to format my calendar dot time. I want to format my time. Okay. And then after formatting it, I'm going to now call my calendar instance dot add. So this will basically add my field. The first field there will be, I'll say calendar dot date, and then 1. So so this basically what we're just doing is that this repeat block is just going to format a date, add it to the list of date options, and then increment the calendar by 1. That's just what this whole thing is going to do. Okay, it will add a list to it will format the date. Okay, after formatting the date, it will now add it to the list of date options. Okay, we already have this list here. To add the list of options, and then we'll now increment the calendar by 1. Okay, so let's now move on. So at the end, we need to return. So what we'll now return is this list. Okay, we'll return these lists. So return options. Okay, so I think that actually, we can actually make this a val since so in the other view model class, okay, we're going to add a class property called date options, and we're going to make it a val. And so we can only initialize it using the get pickup option. So let's see. So I'm going to now say, let me just say something. Let me see this val. Let's say val pick. Okay, let's change by looking at date. Val date options. Okay, so so we're going to now initialize it. I'll just say get pickup. So let me do this. Let me do that. Okay, so now let's update the layout so that it will display the pickup options. Because now we actually have 4 available dates. We have 4 available dates in our view model. So we're going to update that pickup fragment to display these dates. So we're going to use data binding rather to display the checked status of each radio button, and then update that date in the view model when a different radio button is selected. So this is kind of similar to what we did the other time. So where's the free? So let's open this up. So now radio button, okay, so we can see this radio button option 0. So this will now represent our date options. This is basically going to represent something like this. Let me just put this, let me add it like a comment. So this will represent, let's say to represent, so this is basically what it's going to present in our view model. And that's actually which represents today. That's how it will be structured. So this other one, the second radio button, this option 1 will now represent for tomorrow, and so on. Sorry, and so on. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay. Oh, okay, so let's see into the text. Okay, let's just leave the chat, just one. It's just for you to know what I'm talking about. So let's now actually use our variable, our view model here to get. So what do we want to do? So in this first one, I'm going to first of all do the whole check stuff, Android check, and I'm going to say add, close. Listen, let me say view model dot date. Okay, which is for then dot equals. So what do we want to check if it's equal to? I'm going to say view model dot date. So let's see. Dot date options. Okay, that's what we have there. Okay, and then yeah, that's of 0. So remember, we said try not to make whereas you pick up. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so try not to make a private variable. So even functions also, you can actually make them mutable, a private, not mutable function, a private function actually, and then we're creating this public one that cannot be changed, which is a var. So yeah, that's for the check. And then when it is, so for the on click, I'm now going to do this. So we have the add, and then we have this, and then my parentheses, and just the lambda. Sorry. Why am I forgetting my listen? Okay. And then I'm going to call view model dot set date. Yes. So in our set date, what are we now setting the date? We are using the view. What are we using to set the date? The date options. And then I'll pass in the date options of that guy. So this is what we're going to use throughout. Okay. So let's copy this. So the next one will be for 1, and next one will be for 2, and then like that. So this is going to be for 1. This is going to be for 1. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 2. I think this is the last one. It's going to be 3. It's going to be 3. Okay, so yeah, that's actually, so that's that. Oh, so even the text, okay, the text that we want to display, okay, we can also use the same radio, we can use the same data binding to display text, okay, because we actually need to display text. So instead of these tools.text, I'll just leave it there. So I can now say my text, Android.text, okay, well, I'll just use and say, sorry. So what is the text I want to view model dot date options also for my text. So remember the set date, okay? Remember what the set date is just going to take what this word string. So when we use, okay, so our date options, remember our date options, a list of strings. So it's just going to get the string from a particular one. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna have to copy this. Stop me to ask questions. Okay, so sorry, this is no, so this should be here. This is the first one, so this should be 1. This should be 2, and then the last one, this should be 3. Okay, so Yeah, I think that's that. Okay, so let's now see. So let's run the application and see what's up. Let's see what we've been able to accomplish. Let's see what we've been able to accomplish. Yeah, so we need to reinstall and restart. Let's see what we have. Okay, so I'm picking one cupcake. So when I pick that, so let's say, okay, let's choose chocolate. So when I click on chocolate and press next, you see I can now, our dates is showing, we're basically seeing our dates. Okay, we're seeing our date, Thursday, October 28th. So this is the current date. We are in October, Friday 29th, Saturday, and then Sunday 31st. Okay, so we're actually making progress. We're making progress. So one thing I would love to do is to create a method to reset the order. I'd love to create a method to reset the order, okay? Maybe when you're done, okay, let everything go back to default. So let's create a function called reset. And then, so what do we want to reset to? So basically, I want to reset the quantity dot value. Whenever I want to reset, let the quantity of value go back to 0. Let the flavor dot value, since flavor dot value is a string, let it go back to the default string. Okay, let the price dot value, let that turn to the default 0.0, and then the last one should be the date. So let the date dot value. So let the date dot value be the default date options, and then we'll pass in the first one. Remember, the first one that's going to be generated, okay, is going to be from the first instance, like the current day, okay. So how are we going to use this? We're going to use this by adding what we call an init block. An init block means an initialize actually init block to the class, and then call this method. Okay, so with this now, with this young man, I can actually just, so what I'll just do, I can now remove, since I'm using this, I can actually now remove this whole default stuff that I have here. So basically, this is what I'm saying. I'll create an init block, and then I'm going to call my reset, okay, to reset the order. So because with this now, I can now remove all these initial values here, because I'm already giving, once I'm saying, look, once you initialize this class, I've already given them values again. So what I'll just do is I'll just take these default values out. Yeah, so that's just cool. That's better. So this will just initialize it once the class is actually being run. Okay, so so let's test this again, and then we'll get to see that the today's date is actually selected by default. So let's just test that again. Let's just test that again. Yeah, so 30 minutes. So we're going to be able to finish this. Okay, let's just see. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay, so what happened? Interesting, a crash. I love a crash. I love crashes. Let's see. Let's see, sir. Let's see. So let me run the app again. Something made it crash. So let's see. When I clicked on this, okay, so we have a crash. So let's see. Okay, attempt to invoke virtual method on a null object reference. Okay, so yeah, so okay, we're having this. Okay, and then the init. Okay, That's interesting. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? What have we done? What have we done wrong? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so the get shared view material. Okay, so the null object reference. So what's the null object reference here? Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's not about making you private. Not really about your whole privacy, Sha. Okay, so I actually have to move on to something else. So. So this should actually run when you actually create an instance of this, then we actually just reset that. So why are we having that issue? So let's see. Okay, set value. Okay. So where's our sets? On which one? Okay. So one of them is actually giving us an issue. So let's see. Okay. Oh, I don't have much time, so I need to find a bit. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. So let's see something. What if I take this? Okay. Let's see. Okay. So we try this, grab the building, install, launch, succeed. So, okay, so still have, sorry, I need to repeat this to be sure. Okay, so when we create this, okay, and then we want to initialize it. Where are you? Okay, I'm still building. Okay, so let's just I have to switch to what we have for now. Then maybe towards the end of the class we'll debug this very well. But I don't want us to spend a lot of time debugging. So maybe I'll switch to, let's just try it first and then take time later on to work that out. Everything actually seems fine. We have this, and then create this, and then initialize this to be 0 to start. What do you want me to make here? That's not really about this though. Okay, so let's see. Let's run this. Okay, so that I might have to just debug that later, but let's just try it one more time, and then probably after the class I'll just debug it, and then we'll switch that to. So we need to move to our summary fragment and see what we have. Okay, so we still have the same thing, and I want, so okay, so this is a different thing. Attempt to invoke interface method dot lists getting on a null object reference. Okay, so you are the one now causing problem. Okay, so let's assume I want to. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so let's take this out of here and let's put it here. Okay, let's try this. Let's try. Okay, no, not really. I think it should even be above this. Yeah. I think it should actually even be. So let's take this guy also. And then I think we put it above. Okay, so let's see if this doesn't work, and then we'll just have to move on and then we'll debug that later. Don't really have much time. Okay, so we'll try. I hope this is actually built. Okay, yeah, so I think so the idea of this whole thing is, code actually runs top down. So if you want to initialize something before, when you have not actually even created it, that's just what this whole thing is about. Okay, so when we actually put the to initialize this, because whatever you put in your initialize block, okay, runs when this guy is actually the class is actually what the instance is actually called. So when the instance is called, we are now calling this immediately. Okay, top down. Okay, and inside here we're now trying to set this whole stuff, but these guys are null because there's nothing. These guys have not actually been given anything. So that's why we have to put all these things in order first before initializing, so that it has what to initialize to. That's basically that. Oh, coding. That's very interesting. Okay, so let's move on. I'm glad we're able to work that out. So let's update our summary fragments now to use Viewmodel also. Okay, so our summary fragment is basically, it should show the summary of the order you have actually made. So we'll just get all the order information from the shared Viewmodel and then update it. Okay, so this is basically how we're going to do it. Where is our shared summary? Okay, we already have this, so let's just have only a code. Okay, so in this our text view, okay, where we have this. So we're going to just read from the view model and update our screen. So with the summary details. So what do we have? So let's split this, kind of reduce this a bit. So we have the quantity, we have the flavor, and then we have the pickup. So this one is tools.text. So you're not going to see anything, but just to tell you, okay, fine. This first one actually talks about, so let's see. Okay, so for this one, this particular text, so instead of these 6 cupcakes, let's give it an actual value. So the text, I'm now going to say, of course, we're using data binding. So I'm going to say Viewmodel dot quantity, okay? And then the quantity, we want to just get the quantity that's been chosen, and then we'll have to convert it to a string, of course, because we're using a text view, okay? So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to copy this, okay? And then I'm going to add it. So for the flavor too, I'll do the same thing. Okay, but yeah, the flavor actually has to be flavor, not quantity. And then for the dates, yeah, I'm actually going to say dates. So for this one, it's already, I don't really need to convert to string actually for this one, because this actually returns a string. This also returns a string. The flavor returns a string. So quantity actually returns an integer. That's why we are converting to a string. So let's test this out. Let's test this out. So here we actually have something here, which is for total, to calculate the price. So we'll quickly do that also. How can we calculate the price? So let's see. Let's go for one cupcake, and I want a red velvet. I want it to be tomorrow. So we can see quantity, I chose one. The flavor, red velvet, and then the pickup date is tomorrow. So that's actually that. That's actually that. So how can we calculate the price? Of course, if you have questions, you can just ask me. So how can we calculate the price? So so this price is actually displayed on each. If you look at this, we'll go back. Let's see. So you actually have this price here. Okay. The price, we have it here. Let me open pickup. Let's zoom in here. Here you actually have total too. So we have it in, we actually have this except in the start fragment. We have it except in the start fragment. So the reason is so that the user knows the price as they are creating the order. So when you click on maybe one cupcake, you now click on chocolate, you see the total, you click on the date and everything, and it just keeps moving like that. So this is the rule we're going to use to calculate the price. Each cupcake is going to be, let's say, $5 each for one. And the same day, if you make your pickup the same day, we'll add an extra $2. Okay, so that means for an order of like, let's say 6 cupcakes, the price will now be 6 times 5, which is for each one, which is 30, and then plus the extra 3. Let's say $3. Let's say $3. So there's $3 in total. So if that, so basically, if the user wants the pickup the same day, there's an extra cost. Okay, that's just basically what we are saying. Okay, so let's update that price now. Where is our let's see, set quantity. So let's work that out. Now, to actually add, let's add, yeah, to really do this, let's add let's add the support. Let's do something. So first of all, I need to tackle the price per cupcake and ignore, the same day pickup cost for now. So I need to tackle what the price per cupcake. At least that is very important. So let's tackle that. Well, I can do this above. I can actually declare a top level private constant outside my class. Can do something like this. Okay, and I say price. Sorry. Okay, and then let me give it, say, 5.00. Okay, so we're using this cost modifier, the const. Okay, so to make it read only. So this is a top level private constant, and we did it outside the class definition. Okay, so so now let's define a price. Now that we've actually done this now, let's now create a method to calculate price, a helper method rather, to calculate price. So this method can be private actually because it's used just within the class, but we'll change the price, we'll change the logic to also, let's just add logic. So let's think I thought I haven't did that. Okay, so let's say for, okay, so let's just do, so let's say let's make it a private, sorry, private fun update price. Let's say update price, because everything has to be changing. Okay, we're going to update the price. So so we'll just say the price dot value, get the price dot value Okay, so what would the updated price be? So basically what we're going to do, we're going to get the quantity dot value, the value of that, okay? And then I'm going to use something. I'm going to use an Elvis operator, okay? I'm going to use an Elvis operator. So this is an Elvis operator. I'll explain what that does. So this is basically what I want to do. Okay, now multiply it by the price per cupcake. Okay, so what are we doing here? Basically, what this code is just doing is multiplying the price per cupcake, by the quantity of cupcakes ordered. So whatever the value, whatever you choose, okay, if you choose 1 or 6 or 12, so it's multiplied by this, okay? Then for this what you're seeing here now, okay, now it's possible that the value, the quantity dot value could be null. It's possible for it to be null. It's possible for it to be empty, for nothing to be chosen. Okay, so this call this an Elvis operator. What does it mean? So it means that if the expression on the left, which is this, if this expression, any expression on the left is not null, okay, then use it. Otherwise, if it is null, then use the expression on the right of this operator. So what we are saying, in order for you to do this whole operation to multiply by this, if this is null, if this is not null, then use it to multiply your price per cupcake. But if it's null, use 0 instead. That's just basically what this is. So instead of having to do if statement, if this is null, then this times this, else. No, that's a long process. So we're using the Elvis operator. So this is just going to say if this quantity of value is not null, then we'll now have quantity of value times price per cupcake. But if quantity of value is null, we'll have 0 times price per cupcake. Okay, so that's actually that. So let's now, so in our set quantity here, we can now update the price variable here. So for every time, I'll just call the update price method. So we'll update the price variable when the quantity is set. Okay, when the quantity is set, we'll update the price. So now let's now bind the price property to the UI. So we'll do that first in our flavor, fragment flavor. Yeah, we'll do that first. So let's see, we have a text view for that, which is this subtotal. Okay, so let's just do that. So before, okay. So let's do this. So yeah, where is that subtotal? Okay, so I'm going to just say text. Okay, and then okay, I'll add, and then this. So I'm now going to say, so I actually have a string template. Okay, I have a string template. I'll show you. String called subtotal price. So because you have to type this, you need to be very sure of what you're doing. Okay, and then what price am I passing here? So let me use my view model dot price. Okay, so let's see. It's saying we have expression number. Okay, sorry. A string. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so cannot find. Oh, sorry, view model. Okay, so that's fine. So that's fine. So I'm actually using a string resource. Okay, let me show you the string resource called subtotal. So this is it, subtotal, and then this. Okay, so this is just like a placeholder. So what will now pass in that placeholder is the price. Okay. Okay, so let's test this out, and I hope we are actually okay. So there's something. Okay, I think we have done that. So I've actually made sure we bounded our view model object instance. to the listen. So I think we have done that. I did that for all of them. Let me just check. Let's just try. Okay, view model, shared view model. Okay, so we have actually done that. Okay, so forget the red you're saying. So let's do for 6 cupcakes. So the subtotal is what? 30 times what? 5. Okay. Where is our other view model? So when we clicked on this, 6 was passed into this place. Okay. So it's now so our price, so this quantity of value became 6. So 6 times this is now what? 30. Okay, yeah. So so let's say we choose chocolate. So let's now update this whole update other guys. So well, this stuff like this can actually happen. Don't really worry yourself much. Let's see. Yeah, that will sort it out. Okay, so that's actually that. Let's now do. Okay, so let's do that. So what else? So let's just do the changes for, because all of them, they all have it actually. So we did for flavor. So let's do for pickup. So first of all, let me just copy this. So I will also see it as we move. So for pickup, where is that guy? This text, where are you? Okay, see you here. So, and then for summary, there's a summary here. So this summary. Okay, so let's run this and see if we can see everything. So after this, then we'll now get to implement the charging of extra. If you're using the same day as a pickup, how can we charge you extra? So let's say 12 pickups. So 12 times 560. You also get to see it here, see the subtotal here. You also get to see the subtotal here. Okay, so let's charge that extra that we talked about. So if you want to do it the same day, that is as it hot. You want to pick it up the same day. So I'll also create, so let me go to my other view model. I'll now create another of this. And let me say price. Or let me just say, let me just call it same day pickup. Yeah, same day what pickup. So how do we, so let's make this, if you want to pick it up the same day, I'll charge you an extra. Okay, I said 3 now. Let's say 2. Let's be calm. Okay, so in our update price method, how are we going to now do this? So we need to check if the user selected the same day. Okay, we need to check if the user selected the same day. Okay, so we'll check if the date in the view model, that is our these are dates of value. We'll check if it is the same as the first item in the date options list, which is always the current day. So what I'm just going to, I already have this. So I'll now say if, okay, this is how I would have just said if date options, okay, 0 of, yeah, so the first one, if it is actually equal to my, this dot value. So this is basically this is it. If this is that, then would want to update. But I kind of let's make the calculations a bit more simpler. So let me introduce, let's do something. Okay, let me do something. So let me create a variable called total price. Okay. Sorry, total. And for the total price, this is how I want to calculate the total price. Okay. So let's take this to be stored in this variable. Okay. Then what I will now do, so let me just take this out first. Let me take this out. So if the date options, okay, that is if the current date is equal to the value that whatever the person chose, if it's equal. So I now want my total price. Okay, I want my total price I want it to be increased by this. Okay, I want it to be increased by that. So with this now, I'll just, so this is fine. I just want that. This is what I want. So I created this. So if for the update price, to update the price, get me the quantity or the value, whatever, okay? Store it in this variable, okay? And then what I want you to now do, check if the date that you chose, this is the one that you're choosing, is equal to the current day. If it is equal, then increase this guy by 2 not by the price per cupcake. That should be same day pickup. Yes, same day pickup. So so this is so for the set date, I'll now call update price here. Yeah, we'll update the price. Once you get to the set dates, we'll update the price also because that's changed. So let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Oh, I have to round up. I'm sorry that I felt we really needed to do something a bit more, not very simple, but something that is a bit more complicated. So so let's do 6 cupcakes. Okay, so something is happening. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this thing is not updating again. Did I change something? Did I change something? I think I changed something. Okay. I'm not actually, so sorry. So I'm supposed to, so if is this update it and then our price dot value should now be our total price. Yes, okay, sorry about that. So if this is true, update it and then store it here. So so that's that. Sorry, missed that one. That's why it had not, we're not updating anything. That was why. So let's go back 632. Okay. So that's that. So let's go back again. Let me just rerun this. So so if it is 6, okay, so here is 32. Okay, you choose. So this is same day by default. Okay, but yeah, so that's fine. Yeah. So when it was by default, it was this. That's why it's calculated. It's just this is what we by default is actually the first one. Okay. So, but if we don't want the first day, it stays like that. But if we choose the first day, then it adds that extra. Yeah, so that's actually working. So I think we're actually going to stop here. We've exhausted our 2 hours. We're going to stop here. So we'll continue next time. I don't think I'm better now, actually, by the way. So I don't think we should wait till Tuesday. So we may have to find a way to, I'll have to just check out my time and then see if we can fix another class. So because I want us to now, if you notice, we kind of did a brush through from, the whole navigation, and then we came to view model, shared view model. Now the next thing I want us to do is to implement live data. We'll now implement live data again. I want us to actually now run through with implementing live data. Okay, we're going to implement live data from the, we're going to use transformations.map, like something a bit more complicated, if I can use that word, not really actually. And then, yes, so we need to actually add live data to it. That's actually the last thing for this before we now go to the navigation and back stack. Okay, so it's not really much actually, but I think I would want to just stick to time. Okay, so any questions? Do I have any questions? So I think everybody's fine. Like we understand it all. Because we're actually going to build something from scratch. Definitely not like this. Okay, but yeah, we're going to build something actually together. This is kind of like a hint as to what we're going to really just do as group. I'll also be involved, but this one will build it from scratch. We'll build it from scratch. I'll get someone to do a design. We'll build it from scratch. Something will start from beginning, we'll put in view models, we'll do the logic. Hey, how are we going to do this? Yeah. So that's that. So I think in the absence of none, I think I'll just end the recording here. So yeah, thank you. So we'll talk about like I said, we'll talk about live data in our next class. How can we now implement live data on this application, and then also use this application to learn about navigation and the back stack. Okay, so that's actually